Okay, I'll start the recording now. So the first part were these different activities. And again, you need to give a number between 0 and 10. And 0 means there's no way I can do it. It would be absolutely horrible. I cannot do it. And 10 means no problem at all. And of course, it's a subjective score that some sort of average maybe within the last week. So the first activity you need to give a score to would be 4 hours alone at an arcade with your son Alex plus 4 of his friends.
I would 1 or a 2, to be honest with you. I would absolutely avoid that at all costs. I could do it not very well, but I could do it. So it's not a 0.
Sure.
Maybe
2 sounds reasonable, yeah. And then an 8-hour drive alone in the car, so you're the driver.
That's a 0.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to have the dizziness is kind of scary.
Yeah. And then 4 hours of reading.
3 or 4.
Yeah, I just expanded it with 4 hours of reading and understand.
Then I would say a 3.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and then a 5-hour birthday with children.
I would go back to the 2 with that one.
And then we have a 4-hour walk in the forest, for example.
4, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Whichever.
3 or 4, whichever you prefer.
Probably. I think physical activities don't affect me as much, but I still can't really. So I'd say a 4. I could probably.
Sure, that's fine. Okay, so now we get on to the actual symptoms, and I have a long list of different symptoms, and at the end you get to add some if you feel like I missed some of your important symptoms. So the first, and you need to consider how your symptoms, or maybe take it a little bit further back before you actually started the massage. And again, you need to give a number for each of these symptoms between 0 and 10, but it's the other way around this time, because 0 means I haven't had that symptom at all. I've never had it. It's not bothered me. And 10 means it's really, really bad. It's really debilitating, and it's really bad for me. And again, it's subjective. It's a way that you perceive these symptoms.
Okay.
So the first symptom you need to give a number to is pain in the back of the head. So headaches, discomfort, pain in the back of the head.
The back of the head, it varies, but I'd give it a 7.
Yes. Then we have behind the ear.
Same, a 7.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then temples or above the ears.
That's probably a 6. It's not quite as bad.
And in the forehead or above the eyes.
6.
And on the top of the head.
Probably not much. Maybe a 2. I do have it, but not. I don't usually notice it as much.
And then the base of the skull.
That's a 7. Yeah.
And in the back of the neck.
Same, 7.
Yeah. And then on the side of the neck.
That's an 8.
Yeah. And then we have some different ear symptoms. And the first one is inner ear pain.
I don't get a lot of pain, but I do. I'd 5.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of pain. Yeah.
And then a tinnitus.
So the tinnitus it's not constant. It's just whenever I have the vertigo episodes. Probably same, like a 5. When I have it, it's pretty loud, but it's only when I have that episode.
Okay. Yeah. So a 5 seems reasonable. Yeah. And then hearing loss, to the extent that you're aware of it.
That's a 5. I say a lot.
Yeah. And then ear fullness or stuffed ears.
6.
And sensitivity to sounds.
7.
And nausea.
7.
Yeah. And dizziness and balance disturbances.
9.
And then we have some different eye symptoms. And the first one is a pulling or pain behind the eyes.
I'd give that a 0.
Yeah. And then we have sinus pain. So between the eyes, nose, yeah, forehead.
A 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And then sensitivity to light.
5.
And watery or dry eyes.
0.
Yeah. And then we have irritation in the eyes.
If I wear my contacts, I guess, which I don't much because of that. So you know what? Can you go back and change that dry eye? I can't wear my contacts.
Yeah, sure. What do you want? What number would you like to give instead?
7, I guess. I mean, I can wear them, but it's only for short periods of time.
Yeah. All right. And then irritation in the eyes.
Probably, I guess, is a 7 with wearing contacts.
And what if you're not wearing the contacts?
They're not bad. I would say I don't notice it, so probably like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go with a 2. I think that's a good compromise. Do you have any visual disturbances then? Blurry vision or double vision or inability to focus?
No double vision. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like when I work on these muscles, it makes my eyes feel like they're doing this.
And if you're not working on the muscles?
Sometimes I feel like that on my own. That's kind of where I feel like I feel sort of motion sick because I kind of feel like my eyes are doing something. So I keep saying I feel like my eyes are jumping, but they're not.
Yeah, okay.
Is that what you're meaning?
Well, usually people perceive this as either double vision, blurry vision, or an inability to focus.
That's probably a 3 or 4 then.
Yeah.
Because I don't really have that.
Sure. Then we have some throat symptoms, and the first one would be pain inside the throat.
0.
And then we have a trouble swallowing or a sensation that you're not swallowing properly.
3. I do have that. 3.
And then a sore throat.
0.
Yeah. And then we have irritation in the nose.
3.
Yes.
I guess.
And a stuffed or constipated nose.
2.
Yeah. And then we have some different arm and hand and finger symptoms. And the first one is pain in the upper arm.
I get that. I'd say it's a 5.
And then pain in the lower arm.
Same. It kind of radiates down, so a 5.
And in the wrist, hands, or fingers.
That's a little more. 6.
Yeah.
If we get that more.
And then we have feeling disturbances, which is typically numbness or tingling, first in the arms.
0.
Yeah. And then we have the same feeling disturbances in hands, wrist, or fingers.
That's probably more like a 4.
Yeah.
Occasion.
And some shoulder symptoms, the first one being pain on the top of the shoulder.
6 or 7.
Yeah. And then on the side or inside the shoulder.
Like inside? What do you mean by inside?
Well, that you feel like it's so it can be superficially on the side of the shoulder, or it can be inside, like it feels like it's
in the joint?
Yeah, inside the joint, for example.
Okay. That's probably 4. I don't have a lot of that.
And then we have pain in the teeth.
7.
And jaw pain.
I really 5.
Yeah.
Really.
And then movement issues with the jaw, so the jaw doesn't seem to be moving as it's supposed to. in one way or the other?
That's probably 7.
Yeah. And then we have jaw popping or jaw clicking.
I don't have that bad. The doctor told me I had it worse than I thought, but he said it was probably moderate, so give it a 5. I don't always notice it. You know, you
No, and
live with
yeah,
it for so long.
no,
or-
it's also some people some people have it a lot, but are just not really bothered by it. So
Yeah,
it's again it's one of these subjective symptoms. So it's good to put a little bit of a number against it, because eventually when it goes away, we'll be able to see that, okay, you no longer have jaw clicking.
Yeah,
So yeah. So next one is facial pain. Anywhere here.
my 4.
And then we have pain in the chest.
Like actual physical pain, or like the tightness, like anxiety pain?
More,
like
well, whatever you would define as
Uh-oh.
discomfort in the chest.
You're gone.
Can you see me now?
Probably. I can, yeah.
Yes. All right. So any
Go
kind
ahead.
of discomfort, pain in the chest.
Probably a 3.
Yeah. And then trouble turning the head.
The beginning, 7.
And then a feeling of living in jelly or brain fog or living in a dream.
10.
Yes. Any kind of stomach, digestive problems, and whatever, anything that is.
Anything that encompasses,
Yeah.
I give it a good, I feel nauseous most of the time, nauseated, so probably like a 7 or 8, I guess. Yeah. It's not severe.
All right, and then we have back problems. So the first one would be in the upper back, just below the neck area.
8.
Yes, and then we have in between the shoulder blades.
Besides poor posture, I don't really have a lot of pain there, which I think is weird, because that's where my problem starts. But probably in terms of pain or discomfort, 2 there.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. And then we have in the middle of the back.
That, more a 4.
And then in the lower back.
It's a 6.
And then we have an inability to concentrate.
It varies, but at its worst, I'd say a 10, and at its best, it's a 0. So I'd say at the beginning, I was averaging an 8, definitely.
And then an inability to sleep or poor sleep, stressful sleep, worrying about going to sleep.
I don't have that. I used to. I did some of my own, like the kind of stuff that you talked about in the book. I did that years ago. I used to have very bad anxiety, so I don't really have that much issues now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, a 2 maybe.
Yeah. And then stress or anxiousness.
Again, I used to be bad years ago. I do get it some. I'd 5. I guess a 5. Well, since all of this started, I guess it has gone up, because I worry about how am I going to be a mom?
Exactly. Yeah.
So at 8, actually.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have tiredness or a lack of energy.
That's a 9.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that was the official symptom list. So I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add that you feel like we haven't covered.
Like symptom-wise, what else there is? I mean, dizziness.
Yeah, we got that one.
Say that. Does that count vertigo, or is that just dizziness?
Yeah, dizziness, vertigo.
Is like this, and okay.
Yeah.
Then that's the headache, the dizziness, the deafness that comes with it, and it goes away. I'm trying to think of everything.
Sure.
Funny head.
We don't need to, get everything. We've already got a pretty good picture of you. So if you're happy, then we can just leave it at that. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I will stop the recording now.